In this video, I'm going to explain common pitching terminology. So if you're a coach, a young player, or a parent, and you hear some of these baseball lingo terms specifically about pitching, I'm going to explain and or demonstrate many of the common terms that you'll hear in this video today. So if you're new here, I'm Dan Blewett. I'm a former pro baseball player. I used to own a baseball academy as well. Today I make videos on YouTube. I help beginners, I help advanced players, coaches, parents, athletes, everyone. Check out the links in the description where you'll find my 4 books, soon to be a 5th, and my online courses if you want to take your baseball knowledge even further. And real quick, there are timestamps in this video, so you can jump and skip through the video to any of the terms that I explain and demonstrate below. So what is shoulder hip separation in baseball? So this can apply to hitters and it can also apply to pitchers or throwers. So let me show you first what it means for pitching. My hips are down here, my shoulders are up here, and when I pitch a baseball, to get power, as I go down the mound, you'll see my hip bones are actually facing forward at about a 45-degree angle. I will wind up with my upper body as I pitch so that my chest is actually facing backward at that same like 20 or 30-degree angle. So when I'm in this position here, I'm what's called separated. My shoulders are facing one way, or my hips are facing one way, and my shoulders are facing another. They are separated from each other, which creates a rubber band effect. So my upper body is being wound up because my lower half and upper half are going in 2 different directions. So then I've wound up, and then guess what? All that force is released, kind of like a rubber band, stretching and then contracting back to its original shape. And it's very important in throwing a baseball hard, throwing a softball hard, swinging a bat hard, or even hitting a golf ball hard. Anytime we produce rotational power, shoulder hip separation, creating that elastic rubber band effect is very important for being as powerful and as explosive as we can. In hitting, as a hitter, as I stride, I land, my hips start to rotate first, and then my upper body is facing backwards, so my lower half is this way, my upper half is this way, and then my upper half slings through at the end. So the way shoulder hip separation works as a pitcher is extremely similar, if not the exact same, as the way we produce power as a hitter. My arm is dragging. Typically what this means is my front side has opened up too soon, which has meant my arm, as I go through my delivery, is still facing down when it's time to rotate, and it takes longer to catch up as my body goes through, and therefore the ball can't get down in the zone. I can't get on top of it. Or maybe my body is moving fine, but my arm, maybe I stick my arm really far down, and so my arm drags behind my body as my upper half tries to deliver the ball. So good pitchers are very good at getting their body on time, which means that as their lower half and everything starts to move towards the plate, their arm is moving quick enough to be at this sort of angled position when my front foot lands, so that as my lower half rotates, my arm gets flung back, and then I get flung forward, and that's how I produce a ton of power and drive the ball downhill, which is important for pitching. So our arm can drag, again, because of our arm path being really long and our arm's stuck behind my body, and now it's dragging behind, or my front shoulder could open up too soon, causing my delivery to start too soon, and then my arm is stuck not getting to the top early enough, and then it is also dragging. So the term arm dragging can mean a couple different things depending on the issues with the pitcher's mechanics, but that's an overview of what arm dragging means. So you probably have heard someone use the phrase, oh, that pitcher's got great stuff. That new starter for the Yankees, man, he's got nasty stuff. Stuff refers to generally how hard they throw and how high quality their off-speed stuff is. So if I throw 98 miles per hour, I pretty much have good stuff by default. If I throw 92 miles per hour as a pro, but I have a nasty slider and a nasty changeup, I still have really good stuff, even though I'm not as hard of a thrower as the 98 mile per hour guy. So in general, stuff just means the quality and velocity of your overall repertoire as a pitcher. Another way you'll hear this term used, especially in kind of a slangy way, is he's a stuff guy or he's a command guy. And those are kind of opposites. So a command guy has less high quality stuff, and basically they don't throw as hard, their breaking ball's not as sharp, not as devastating, they don't strike out as many hitters. A stuff guy has a really good fastball, really good breaking ball, really sharp, throws very hard. They have the ability to strike lots of hitters out. So stuff guys rely on their stuff and maybe are less reliant on good command and pinpoint control, whereas like a command guy or a finesse guy is going to have to rely more on control and pitching savvy to get hitters out, whereas the stuff guy can just overpower them and then finish them with that nasty curveball. So that's sort of how the term stuff is used in baseball. So control can only be explained along with the term command. Control means throwing strikes generally and not walking that many batters. So if you only walk 2 or 3 batters per 9 innings, you have good control. But within that, you can grade that out even further, saying, okay, we have 2 pitchers who have the same, walks per 9 innings. So they both walk 2 batters per 9 innings. But one pitcher has much better command, meaning they throw higher quality strikes. They throw into much smaller, tighter groupings when they miss, or they miss in spots that don't hurt them. So having better command is a higher level skill than just having good control. And most pitchers are going to start by developing their control, and then as their control gets good, then they try to even fine tune further by having better command. So the stretch position is a set of pitching mechanics that we use when there are runners on base who could potentially steal a base. To do the stretch position, I'm going to start off the rubber or straddling the rubber. Then when I step on the rubber, I'll get my sign from my catcher, and then I will come into what's called set position, and I have to be perfectly still here. I can only move my head before I either choose to step off the rubber, in which case I become a fielder again, or I can pitch the baseball by lifting my leg, or by doing what's called a slide step. So again, the stretch position is a set of pitching mechanics that we can use when runners on base and could potentially steal. We can also use the stretch anytime we want. It doesn't have to be in that situation, but that is the time that it's typically used instead of the windup. So the slide step is a type of delivery from the stretch position, which we use when there's runners on base. The slide step is a faster delivery to the plate, which helps us keep base runners from stealing. Once I come into the set position, so I'm in the stretch, and I have now come into the set position, I could do a big slow leg kick, and that's perfectly legal, but runners will steal. Or I can do what's called the slide step, in which case I'll either knock my knees quickly and pitch, or I'll just pick my leg up and pitch, and it will look like this. So that's how you do the slide step. The windup is a set of mechanics that you use with nobody on base, or you can use it with second and third where the runners can't really steal, although they could steal home, or bases loaded, where again, they can't really steal in the next base. So to do the windup, you start with your hands at your chest, feet half on and half off of the rubber. And the way I teach it is an angled step forward. My back leg will turn on the inside edge of the rubber because I have to be touching it. I'll lift my leg up, and then I'll deliver the ball to the home plate. So that's a simplified version, but that's how you do the windup. What does the term overthinking mean as it pertains to pitchers in baseball? So overthinking is when we're trying to control our delivery too much, or maybe we're thinking too hard about the situation, and it takes away from our sort of natural athletic ability to just go out there and pound the strike zone, compete, and just throw stuff in a very loose and fluid and explosive and aggressive sort of way. Lots of pitchers are very good when they don't think. They just get up there and they throw what they know how to throw. And a lot of us get worse as pitchers when we start overthinking and trying to overanalyze how sharp we have to be hitting a spot, or how important the situation is, and we're overthinking the pitch call or overthinking the location. So overthinking broadly applied is just when pitchers start to diminish their natural athleticism and their ability to compete and be aggressive and just throw stuff fluidly and loosely and aggressively. Instead, we get stuck in our heads thinking too much about the situation, about the batter, about being perfect, and that ends up being to our detriment. So overthinking is actually a really big problem. The best pitchers are very good at doing their analysis of what pitch to throw and the situation, all that stuff, and then putting that aside and then being just very short-minded athletes and just competing and being aggressive with the pitch that they've decided to throw. What does it mean to aim the ball as a pitcher in baseball? So aiming the ball is basically when you can kind of tell that a pitcher is not throwing as aggressively as they usually are, that they're just easing off a little bit, trying to be very, very perfect. And of course, like when we play darts, we aim and we throw darts, right? And so sometimes this can be tough to pick out as a coach, where maybe your pitcher's throwing 97% as hard as they can, but you can just tell they're just easing off a little bit, trying to be perfect, trying to be really sharp with their command. And is that often to our detriment, because then we lose spin rate and we don't have that crispness, and we're not as aggressive in hitting our spot, and we're not as aggressive mentally either with commanding the plate and attacking the zone. So aiming the ball is a really big problem, and every pitcher should be encouraged to be relaxed, to be fluid, and to be aggressive once they've decided on what pitch they're gonna throw. What does the pitching term overthrowing mean? So as a pitcher, everyone battles this for their entire career. There's a threshold. It's sort of a percentage of your full velocity that it's slightly different for everyone, but basically when you throw too hard, you stop being able to command and control your velocity. Say you had the ability to throw 90 miles per hour. The fastest you could possibly throw a baseball is 90 miles per hour. You probably don't have good control at 90. You probably need to throw 89 or 88, which is, 99% of your full velocity to be in control. So at 90 miles per hour, you might be overthrowing. And if you throw every pitch at 90, you're not really gonna know where they're all going. So everyone has this sort of threshold line where they're too aggressive, they're over competing, they're trying to throw it by the hitter, they're doing too much, and they lose the ability to really command where the ball is gonna go. So that in a nutshell is what overthrowing is, and it's something that every pitcher battles, even if it's just a late inning situation and you're a little frustrated, maybe you gave a home run and now you want to strike out the next hitter, so you throw everything as hard as you can and you're overthrowing and you fall behind the count because you threw 2 balls, and then you overthrow the third pitch and you throw it right down the middle by accident and they hit another home run. That's the battle that we face with overthrowing. What does the term backside mean in pitching? So the backside is relatively simple. If I'm a right-handed pitcher, this is my backside. And we're referring to our legs, we're referring to our right hip. We're saying sit back in your backside, feel your weight in your backside. So it's a really simple term. Anytime we're talking about the backside, we're just talking about our back half of our body as we go down the mound as a pitcher. What do we mean when we refer to a pitcher's front side? So when we use the term front side in pitching, what we're talking about is the glove arm. So for me, I'm a righty. This is my front side. And the front side is referring to sort of like the height of our front shoulder, how well we stay closed, all the different things that our front side does to us or that we do with our front side. That's what we talk about. So me as a pitching coach, if I'm going out and talking to a pitcher, I might say, hey, your front side is getting a little bit low as you go down the mound. Or hey, your front side is flying open. Or hey, it looks like your front side is leaking, which is kind of the same term as flying open. So when we talk about our front side, we're talking about literally the side that's going towards the plate, which is our glove arm for every pitcher. So the term staying closed is super important, and pitchers need to stay closed to produce as much power as possible. So this is talking about our front side, and as I go down the mound, if I fly open, quote unquote, that means my hips and or my front side, my arm and this part of my body has opened up too soon. And because I rotate open too soon, I get less power transferred through my legs and my core into my arm, and I will throw slower. My off-speed stuff will suffer, and I won't have as good a command. The best pitchers in the world are very good at staying closed, which means staying closed is when I land, even if my front shoulder is a little bit lower, some pitchers have variance here, which is okay, my chest is still closed towards home plate, which means my third baseman could read my shirt logo if I had a jersey on, or my first baseman if I was a lefty, but my catcher cannot see my shirt logo. So staying closed means my chest has not opened up or rotated towards the plate too soon. Staying closed with both the front shoulder and the chest is one of the most important aspects that young pitchers can learn to do well with when they're developing. What does it mean in baseball if a pitcher is flying open with their front side? So flying open is a really important concept in pitching, and it's one of the things that every pitcher battles, and as a pitching coach, you need to know how to diagnose this and help pitchers through it. It can mean a couple of different things. So if I go out and I talk to my pitcher and I say, you're flying open, I could mean that your glove arm is getting to this side of my body too soon in my pitching delivery, or my hips are opening up too soon in the air. Both of those, flying open is a kind of a nebulous term. It can have multiple meanings. Either way, if my front hip opens up too soon or my glove arm opens up too soon, and usually they go together, they do the same thing, that is my front side flying open. So this is an important concept to understand as a pitching coach, because you want to help your pitchers stay closed, which when I land, if my front side, you can't read my shirt logo, if the catcher's looking at me, that means I'm closed. If I'm here too soon and you could see my shirt logo, that means I have I have flown open. What does the term leaking mean as a pitcher in baseball? So leaking is kind of a catch-all term. It can mean different things, but generally leaking means you're leaking power in some ways, usually with your hips or your front side. So this could mean that you're flying open, which is another term I've covered in this video series. Flying open is when you open up with your front side too soon. And leaking is kind of the same thing. Leaking could mean you're just opening up a little bit too soon, or maybe your stride foot is opening up a little too far, or maybe your weight is shifting down the mound a little bit too soon, so you're leaking your weight forward. But leaking is kind of a confusing term. It's not the best one to use if you're a coach, because it could just mean different things, and it's a little bit nebulous and kind of vague and kind of broad. So leaking generally, I might use it if a pitcher isn't like crazy flying open. I'd be like, hey, it looks like you're just leaking a little bit. Maybe it's just trying to stay closed a little bit longer. So that's what the term leaking means as a pitcher. It's not my favorite term. It's kind of a catch-all, but it does have some value in saying that a pitcher's leaking a little bit of power with their hips and their front side a little bit too soon. What does it mean when we say that a pitcher is rushing? So rushing can definitely have a bunch of different meanings, which is a little bit problematic as a coach. So rushing can mean, on one hand, so say there's like high pressure situation, the pitcher is stressed, and they start visibly going faster through the delivery. That's one version of rushing. Another version of rushing is I'm simply shifting my weight towards the plate too soon. I'm rushing down the mound. So sitting back longer is the cure for that sort of type of rushing. So rushing just basically means anytime there's a tempo shift that goes faster, or the weight shift is faster than normal down the mound, that's generally what we call rushing. And this is not the best term because it has multiple meanings. So as a coach, you really gotta make sure you clarify this if you're using with your players. Don't just say, hey, you're rushing, because rushing could mean 2 different things to 2 different coaches or 10 different pitchers. So make sure you're really clear. If you say, hey, looks like you're rushing down the mound, I really see your weight shifting forward too soon. You know, really, you don't need the word rushing in that example. Just say, it looks like your weight is shifting too soon down the mound, right? But rushing is an accepted pitching term, and you'll hear it in different ways, and it's important to understand what it could mean in different contexts. What do the terms arm side versus glove side mean in pitching, and how are they different? All right, so let's talk about arm side versus glove side, and these 2 terms can only be understood with the context of each other. So basically, this is very simple. It just helps us communicate, especially in practice, where I'm gonna throw a fastball if there's not a hitter in the batter's box. So if I'm a pitcher and I'm calling pitches to my catcher in practice and I say, fastball inside, it doesn't make any sense because there's no hitter. You can't throw a fastball inside if there's no hitter for it to be inside to, or outside if there's no hitter for it to be outside to. So what I would say instead is, I'm gonna throw fastballs on my arm side. This is my arm side, my pitching arm side. This is my glove side of the plate, and it's always the pitcher's point of view. So for me as a righty, arm side of the plate is inside to a righty, glove side of the plate is inside to a lefty. And then if I'm a lefty, those are reversed. So for lefties, arm side of the plate is into a lefty, glove side is into a righty. It's very, very simple. This is terminology to use in practice. So when I was warming up in my preseason bullpens in my college and my pro career, I'd say, fastball, glove side, fastball, arm side, curveball, glove side, changeup, arm side. And it's just an easy way to communicate where we want to throw the ball when there's no hitter in the box. All right, so let's talk about the term tempo as it pertains to pitching. So this also is a term that can have multiple meanings, which is not ideal, but let's talk about them. So number 1, your tempo can be all the things that happen before the pitch. So when pitchers get really stressed out and they've given up a bunch of runs and they're frustrated and flustered and nervous and there's a scout in the stands, they might physically be moving around the mound faster because you can see their anxiety pouring out in the speed of their movements. That's one version of tempo. The other version of tempo is how fast I go through my delivery. So if that I just demonstrated is normal and my tempo speeds up, I might be pitching like this now. That does happen sometimes, especially with younger pitchers when they get stressed, when there's a lot of stuff going on and they're not pitching well. So when we're talking about tempo, it can mean the physical actions before the delivery and the physical speed of the delivery itself. And then also, unfortunately, there's a third meaning, which can be how fast you actually go down the mound. So say I'm in the stretch position and my normal tempo to the plate is this, but now I'm struggling, there's stress, there's a lot of things going on, and now I'm like this, and I'm just going faster than normal, not just in a runner holding sense, but just like Dan's clearly like panicking and moving quickly, that's another version of tempo. So as a pitching coach, you might come out and say, hey, your tempo has really sped up. That could mean lots of different things. So you have to specify as a coach, hey, it looks like your tempo to the plate, how fast you come set and how fast you deliver the ball has really picked up. Let's try to slow down and get back to your normal tempo, right? Or your tempo between pitches. Take another breath, take more time between pitches. Or hey, just the speed of your windup. Take a deep breath and go a little slower. You're speeding up and I don't think you realize it. Those are very real world problems that happen, and tempo can apply to all three of those scenarios as a pitcher. All right, so let's talk about the terms arm path / arm action. And I'm here to tell you these two are synonyms. You might hear them used differently from one person to the next, or they might argue that they're different. They're synonyms. So arm action, arm path, it just refers to the length and what the arm does in the backswing of the arm action and as we accelerate the ball. So as an example, some pitchers have a really long arm action. Back in the day, pitchers had very long arm actions as they were doing all that wacky stuff. So you could have more length where your arm straightens out more and then rebends before we accelerate the ball. Or you see a lot of pitchers with very short arm actions where they have bend in it almost the whole time and they're never straightening it out, or they're not reaching way behind the body. And there are do's and don'ts, which we're not going to get into in this video, but arm action just refers to what the arm does after hand separation all the way through accelerating the ball. So when you're using the term as a coach, it's not referring to the glove arm at all. It's only referring to the action or path that we would trace with the pitching arm. So what's a pickoff move for a pitcher in baseball? So as a right-hander, I have a certain pickoff move. As a left-hander, they have their own set of pickoff moves. I'll demonstrate a righty pickoff move right now. So as a right-handed pitcher, if I want to pick off to first base, I could also pick to second, I could also pick to third, but it's most common to pick off to first base or second base. If I want to pick off to first base, I'll be using the stretch position, I'll come set, and then from here, what's legal is I can step off forward with my right foot and then turn my left foot and then make my throw to first base. It's also legal to step off the rubber and then turn and pick off. However, no higher level pitchers do that because it's a slow, ineffective pickoff move. So the main pickoff move for righties is to disconnect from the rubber forward with quick feet to then throw to first base. So at full speed, it looks like this, or even faster, it looks like this. So that's how you do a pickoff move as a right-handed pitcher to first base. So what's the inside move as a pitcher in baseball? So the inside move is a type of pickoff move that we do to second base. When I lift my leg up, as it gets to its apex, I will turn and I have to cross over, and then I can even either shuffle my feet or I can throw right away in a very awkward position to second base. So the inside move looks like this. And this is a move that we'll use when runners are maybe going on the automatic steal, which is first and second, or bases loaded, 3-2 count and 2 outs, where they're gonna try to leave as soon as I pitch the ball. So if looks like I'm gonna pitch the ball, and then I turn, I can often get an out that way. I also use the inside move in case I wanna figure out if the hitter is bunting. So if I lift my leg and the hitter shows bunt, now I've gotten here. I don't even have to throw to second base if I don't want to. It's legal to fake a pickoff to second base as long as there's a runner there. So I could do that and figure out if they're bunting, and then my coach could put on a bunt play to prevent whatever they're trying to accomplish with a bunt. So that's an explanation of the inside move, which is a pickoff move to second base in baseball. So what is the spin move as a pitcher in baseball? The spin move is one of 2 different pickoff moves that I can do with a runner on second base. So to do the spin move, I will come set, and now from here, if I want to pick off to second base using the spin move, I will, in slow motion, I'll move my right foot forward slightly, I will spin, and then all in one motion, make my throw to second base. So at full speed, it will look like this. I don't have to throw to second base if I don't want to, as long as the base is occupied by a runner. I can always fake a spin move if I want to, but this is the move where I have to coordinate with my shortstop or second baseman to make sure they're breaking over to the bag, because if I do this out of nowhere and I'm the only one that knows I'm gonna do it, I'll probably just throw it into center field because the shortstop will be in their normal position. So the spin move is a coordinated pickoff move to second base. It's very fast and quick and could be a great way to pick a runner off if I get the timing just right. So what is a snap throw in baseball? So this is a type of left-handed pickoff move. Right-handers do not have a snap throw. This is one of two different moves lefties will do to throw to first base. So I'm a righty, I'm demonstrating this for you here by putting my glove in my right hand, and then I got my ball in my left. But the snap throw is really relatively simple. All we do is we step off, we draw our arm back, and we throw to first base pretty much all in one motion. So when you see, high-level players do this, it's very quick, and they just snap this quick little thrower to first base where they can nab a runner. Oftentimes, when the runner is taking their shuffles off first base, maybe they're not paying attention, whatever, and if I see this runner's not paying attention, bam, I throw it over and I get them. So their goal during this move is how quickly can I step off and get my throw on the way as quickly as possible. I can't separate my hands until I step off, but I can do it almost at the same time and have the throw be on the way. Snap throws are really difficult, but they can be very effective when done properly. So the hang move is one of two different pickoff move types for left-handed pitchers only. Now I'm gonna demonstrate this for you. I'm a right-handed pitcher, but I'm gonna demonstrate for you as a lefty by sticking my glove awkwardly on my right hand. So when I come set as a lefty, I'm gonna lift my leg up and it can hang in the air, and I can choose when I get to the top if I'm gonna go home or if I'm gonna go towards first base. And there's sort of an unwritten rule about having an imaginary 45-degree angle that I can't step towards home and then throw first. That would be a balk. And I don't wanna step exactly here because that would be a very ineffective, easy to pick up on move. So the best lefty pitchers that have great hang moves, they're very good at keeping their eyes towards the plate all the way until the last minute and then turning their hips at the last minute and utilizing this 45-degree angle. So it very much looks like they're gonna pitch all the way up until the moment that they're not. And it's really tough to pick up on as a runner, and thus lefty pitchers can hold runners much more effectively than righties can. What does the term hold mean as it pertains to pitching in baseball? So holds are a method that pitchers use to prevent potential base stealers from getting a good jump when they try to steal the next base. And what we do is we mix up our hold timing. So if I'm doing a good job with my holds, I will go 1-1,000, 2-1,000, 3-1,000, then I'll pitch to home plate. Then on the next pitch, I might go 1-1,000, then I'll pitch. Then on the next pitch, I might go 1-1,000, 2-1,000, and I pick to first base. Then on the next one, I go 1-1,000, 2-1,000, 3-1,000, and then I pitch to home plate. So I varied my holds in that example. The runner never knows exactly when I'm gonna go home. When pitchers give up a lot of stolen bases, they fall into the pattern of going 1-1,000 pitch, 1-1,000 pitch, 1-1,000 pitch. And then what happens is base runners can easily time when they're gonna go to the plate because they become very predictable. So as a pitcher, varying your holds is very important to controlling the running game. All right, so thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe below if you haven't. Check out my YouTube membership with access to hundreds of VIP baseball videos, my online courses, and my books. All those you'll find in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.